The British Navy has a secret sensor weapon to hunt Russian submarines. Artificial intelligence technology developed to track whales will now power sea drones to protect British waters from threats. The Times reports. The British military and intelligence agencies have thousands of tapes recorded over 56 years. These recordings contain the unique acoustic signatures of enemy ships and submarines. They were collected by the Royal Navy's sonar specialists, submarine hunters. Today, thanks to rapid technological advances, this archived data can be integrated into the latest Lura system, a product of the European defense company Helsing. The system literally illuminates the ocean, making underwater threats visible to defense workers. The system is based on autonomous mini-submarines SG-1 Fathom with built-in sensors that can stay underwater for up to 3 months. They glide silently through the water without propellers and analyze sounds using artificial intelligence. Lura detects so that our fleets can deter threats. We must use new technologies to keep pace with threats to our critical infrastructure, national waters and way of life, said Gundbert Scherf, co-founder of Helsing. The system can even distinguish between ships of the same class based on subtle differences in their acoustic signature. Lura automatically classifies the sounds of submarines, tankers, passenger ships, and even shadow fleet vessels, Russian tankers trying to circumvent sanctions. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of these gliders could be deployed across the ocean. They could be placed, for example, in the strategic GI-UK region between Greenland, Iceland and the UK to monitor the passage to the Atlantic. When they hear something, a Russian submarine or any unusual noise, they surface and send out a signal. One won't make a difference, but they're so cheap you can deploy hundreds or thousands. They'll think twice about trying to get through, said Niall Cartwright, Helsing's chief technology officer. Security concerns have been heightened by recent incidents involving damaged undersea cables in the Baltic Sea. In November, Defence Secretary John Gilly even allowed a British attack submarine to approach the Russian spy ship Yantar, suspecting it of spying near communications cables. The Lura system opens a new era in underwater surveillance, autonomous, accurate and fast. Using acoustic analysis and artificial intelligence, the fleet is able to respond to threats almost instantly without relying on human intuition alone.
The Council of the International Civil Aviation Organization on Tuesday found Russia responsible for shooting down Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 over Ukraine with the loss of 298 lives more than a decade ago, in a ruling that raises the prospect of victims' families being paid compensation. A Dutch-led international investigation concluded in 2016 that the Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur airliner was shot down on July 17, 2014, from Ukrainian territory held by separatist rebels using a Bucha missile system delivered from Russia. Moscow denies any involvement in the MH17 tragedy. According to Associated Press, the Netherlands and Australian governments brought the case against Moscow before the Montreal-based Global Aviation Agency in 2022, and on Tuesday welcomed the verdict. The International Court of Justice wasn't an option, because Russia doesn't recognize The Hague, Netherlands-based court's jurisdiction. Thomas Shansman, a representative of the MH17 Next of Kin Association, whose 18-year-old son Quinn died in the tragedy, reacted to the verdict saying it will help to force Russia to acknowledge their responsibility and their involvement because that is what we are still waiting for. The Council found that Russia had violated the Convention on International Civil Aviation, known as the Chicago Convention, which requires that states refrain from resorting to the use of weapons against civil aircraft in flight. It's the first time that the Council, which represents 193 member states, has decided a dispute between governments. Dutch Foreign Minister Casper Veldkamp said that the Council would consider the question of reparations within weeks. The Russian embassy in Australia didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on Tuesday.
Right of the crash.
For me, and for lots of other families, other next of kin, they are waiting for Russia to acknowledge and to say sorry. That's what they're looking for, not about the money. Although that will be part of negotiations as well. But for most of the families, they say, you know, money cannot buy anything back. My son, my father, my daughter, my grandchildren, they aren't here anymore.
Right of the crash.
And so they have now to acknowledge, and they have to start negotiating with Australia and the Netherlands about this. So for us, we knew already, obviously, that Russia is responsible for this, but it will help, according to myself and the people that I represent, it will help to force Russia to acknowledge their responsibility and their involvement. Because that is what we are still waiting for.
Right of the crash.
Until today, they deny everything. This is no longer possible with this decision from ICAO.
President Donald Trump and the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto ruler, shook hands and signed an economic agreement between the US and Saudi Arabia in Trump's first stop on his Mideast visit. According to Associated Press, the leaders then watched as members of the Trump cabinet and the Saudi government exchanged folios and shook hands over a number of contracts between the two countries. The agreements include energy cooperation, modernizing the Saudi armed forces, judicial cooperation between the Justice Ministry and the Saudi judiciary, assistance between customs authorities and collaborations between the Smithsonian Museum and Saudi institutions.